And thank you very much for joining me. Polina here, coming to you from a beautiful retreat center here in Tarapoto. This is a little medicine setup behind me with singing bowls and everything. It's a beautiful time to be alive, beautiful time to be here. I'm going to be talking about this incredible full moon that is coming up in the very beginning of Pisces, very beginning of Pisces. In August. So this is a very incredible, secure yes or no. I'd like to first help you understand the context of this time and what we've been going through so far as people, and what we now have to learn from or learn through or understand in order not to put our foot in our mouth, as they say, and in order not to make undue changes, and in order not to waste our time, basically. So this is a very careful planning, scheming time coming in Virgo for some people, for many of us that don't quite have their center point worked out in Leo. So what Leo does, usually always, every time, is help us understand the centering of all things and the centering of all events in our lives, recognize where we're at as people, what we do and do not have to do, where we really stand, what we value, what we grow through, and what we really care about. But this is where sometimes people go wrong, and they think too much, they overthink it, or they over-scheme it, or they can't quite accept what has been happening or what has been coming through. And this is where Virgo time, starting from about the 22nd of August, is going to really help us scheme it out. Okay, if I don't have the answers just yet, if I don't know what I'm doing just yet, I'm going to have to plan things ahead, or I'm going to really have to clean up. So that's the thing that I'm going through here as well. And I'm actually learning from a lot of other people in my field, in my area of work, in my area, that it is very difficult sometimes to know everything and to trust ourselves, and that is cool. It is just that some of the time these visions or these vibrations that we have of what we did and didn't want before are so changed, so transformed by a very lumpy Leo month like this. It was a very lumpy, very hardcore, changeable weather for me personally in Leo, and a few other people I know as well. And some of the time it's very hard to really judge it or trust it. So we are in for quite a long level discussion, quite a long experience, quite a long subduing and changing in Virgo for some of us. I'm sorry if there's a lot of sound in the video right now. There's lots of beautiful ambience here in the jungle. I hope that you can hear me. So yes, for quite a few people it's going to be quite a difficult time to relate and understand where we are coming from next, or what is the next due result that we're waiting for from life. So I believe that it is so good now to just at least come to terms and understand where we are at now as people and individuals, and what we really want to have happen in our lives, and have a look at if we are curious. Curiosity is really going to help you, I feel, in the coming month of Virgo, this time also coming up to the full moon, because it is going to really bust you open and help you grow these incredible versions of yourself, or these incredible vibrational lengths that are maybe suffering a little bit for some people if they haven't fully come to their heart quite yet during August time. So what I'm also saying here is that we had to really believe and love and trust it all, however it came to be. So this is the hardest thing sometimes for us, especially if we didn't really have enough root chakra affluence back in the day. So if we grew up in stressed out or impoverished families, or if we didn't really have the security, if we'd gone through any kind of child abuse or anything, it is so hard to trust ourselves, and the root chakra doesn't really let the flow of earth energy walk into the rest of the body. So it looks to me that a lot of people would have had quite a large sum of money go missing, quite a big idea crash, or things just go the wrong way, or they could have spent their time on the wrong people seemingly, or done quite a lot to be able to sort of kind of half achieve a result. So if you did a lot of running around in August, and if it was kind of a lumpy month for you, and even though you might have as all of us had some discoveries and also some rediscovering to do, it could also have led to some uncertainty and peculiarity in your life. So if you're one of these people coming out of Leo right now, as I'm doing this reading on the 17th of August, coming out of, the last few degrees of Leo, questioning yourself, questioning your heart, questioning how come you've spent all this money, all this time, all these energies, like why did life not just give you a result so fast? Why did you have to go through kind of like a karmic wheel to achieve a certain understanding or a knowing? If you're still quite uncomfortable yet, please, I recommend you get comfortable with the previous results you have already achieved, and that maybe you will notice that through your heart you will understand that most of it is a no-brainer. And I hope that you don't carry that anxiety into the Virgo time, as we are facing this incredible cusp, like Piscean moon, that can actually change us and give us a really extraordinary result. If we are also counting on someone or something that is not correct or not right, it will just fall away. So you don't have to scrape it all clean. Some things and some people are going to fall out of your life. So the main thing is not to try to go too far in Virgo, because it is going to be a very difficult time coming up to the end of August, where some people are going to scrub themselves clean and try ever so hard to make things manifest in their lives, and make so many choices and make so many decisions and wrong turns in order to somehow believe that they have the power and, most importantly, the control over who they've come to be and what is happening in their world. So basically what we now have to understand is that some things had to be sacrificed in Leo. So what this means to me is that we just had to let go. This is a very epic kind of a martyr moon happening here very soon. So we had to let go, you had to let go, okay? Let go of the one that doesn't understand you. Let go of the people that don't care about you. Let go of the therapy that's not working for you anymore. Let go of the little clique and the club that is not paying you any respect. Let go of the one person you thought you'd never leave. Let it go. Let go of the little town. Let go of the city. Also, we had to face some very climatic things for a lot of us people to develop our heartbeat in a new way. So there were some peaks and troughs to create a certain type of contrasting level in order to basically be able to face ourselves and realign our heartbeat. So that was maybe about understanding, wow, I've got a tumor. Sometimes that is something that we had to understand. Wow, I've got a parasite. Wow, I had a really bad time there. Wow, I don't respect this person anymore. Or wow, I cannot commit any longer. So this can happen in many different ways. And I already explained it in a previous moon video and also in the August month as how it works sometimes. Look, you're not on the path. Get back on the path. Or look, you have some problem that has been there for maybe quite a long time, 10, 20 years, and now we have to, and now, even though you have so many things going on, you have to deal with it. So I had to go through something like this in my body as well. So a certain symptom surfaced because of all that hot air and all that energy and all that volcanism that sometimes Leo provides. And then I just had to face it. Look, I've got this happening. And this is where it took me. So this is how I was going. And eventually I had to get antibiotics, and everything like that had to be in order to somehow clear up that. So I'm not taking the medicine path also right now at all. And I'm realizing that I have to just sometimes see a doctor about certain things. And that's what I've been doing. So that sometimes is where Leo can turn us. And also for some people, awful, but it's true, and sometimes it's harder and sometimes it's easier this way. You just have an apathy. So that's the trough. That's the kind of a low level vibrational given that sometimes we have to see, and sometimes with quite a lot of pain, shame and humiliation, wow, I actually never realized I was out of love for the last 7 years, or wow, I never realized I couldn't actually connect at all to any of this, or I actually can't any longer believe. And that's a very, very nice way to also care for yourself, is to understand now, when you had these peaks and troughs where things were surfacing, like rearing their heads and telling you, boo, you have to deal with this now. Like, wow, like that money just went, you have to deal with this now. Or like, wow, that person just disappeared, you have to deal with this now. There was like an extra emotional level, I suppose, for some of you guys to be able to face certain things in your life. And then for other people, it was like, hey, guess what? You're not going to that gig. Why? Because I think you don't care. Like, you forget your instruments, you get out of a group, you get out of alignment with a person, you lose your phone for a day and you can't reply to their messages, you don't even remember. We just get sad, like, look, this city is not for me. Like, these people, I don't know what it is about me. I just can't be bothered. I can't believe in this anymore. So that is something also that I think is very good to notice and not treat lightly. If you have kind of like a kicking around feeling, like, I just don't want this. Like when you put pants on a kid and the kid is kicking around and it's like, I just don't want this. I don't want this right now. I don't want to wear clothes. Or like, I just don't want to go to the zoo. I don't want to. If you have that, it's important to not treat this lightly, because I think that's also a very strong symptom that you are out of there. So I've been having these as well, these symptoms all month. Like, I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want to see this in my life. I don't ever want to be in this. I don't ever want to experience it. And that was something that I couldn't really fully face, because you see, we're so afraid of being bad people. We are so afraid of being traumatizing for another person. We are so afraid of being mean sometimes. And this is how come some people can't accept us also. It's not actually because we don't like something or we just don't feel good about something. It's not actually all of that at all. It's because we don't want to feel this way. We don't want to surface the fact that, okay, like, I don't like this guy. I just don't. I don't know what it is. I just don't like this guy. Like, we can't just be that person. And sometimes I think a lot of people suffer if they don't have the courage to admit, I don't like my job, or I don't want to go to school, or I just don't care. I try and listen and I just don't care. And that is something that I think I also have to learn about. It's quite okay to be that person sometimes. And it's quite alright to have that character overlap and not to have fear of ourselves and what we're feeling. So if you are still kind of like indecisive about who you are and where you're from and what is it that your story really is, it is really good to get in on these details that freaked you out, psyched you out, sucked you in, made you feel emotional, made you feel like you're nothing, made you feel like you're everything but you didn't want to do it. Like, all of these feelings that you might still have to metabolize. And also, I have to tell you guys, before we go into the critical Virgo month, get some tests done. Okay, I had a stomach ache. I went to the doctor. I found out what I had, probably since I was like 10 years old. And then eventually I had to get it cleared. Never took antibiotics before like this. So like, this is something that has happened in my case, for example. I'm still taking them. So this is like something that's happening right now. For example, okay, you never thought it, never felt it, but now your hair is falling out, for example, or you have a pain in your tooth. It is such a good time to go to the therapist and a psychologist, also for some people that maybe do need a formal diagnosis for what they do have or might have had for a while. It is such a good idea to get things cleared up if you are suddenly experiencing a very nervous breakdown of any kind. Like, for example, okay, now I know this is not my thing. Wow, I can't have this as a career. Or like, wow, I'm not making any money of these errands that I'm running. Or wow, I don't have any friends in this group. Wow, I can't handle this job. I can't handle this. Or like, I'm having an incredibly sharp pain in my stomach, or something like that. All of this has to be seen as a true result. And a lumpy month of August should probably now be free enough or unobstructed enough already for a lot of us to lead you on to a result. Okay, you didn't take care of yourself, so now you've got this. Or like, wow, you had an affair and now you've got this. Or like, your marriage is falling apart. Or like, wow, you got a bacterial infection over there. Or like, well, here you go, here is the result. And a lot of it is absolutely right. We're coming to a very big karma clearing Libra this month, and for a lot of us, it'll give us so good things if you have a clear karmic record. But like, that's the thing, it's like, okay, some of it is like this: you slept with a stranger, okay, and now you have this. Or like, for example, you didn't care about your parents, and now you have this. Or like, you didn't want to take care of your child, and now you've got this. So they are very simple, universal cause and effects, like you didn't wash your hands before you ate or something like that, or you touched your face, you touched your eye and now you've got this, or like you swam in the dirty river and now you've got this. So there's going to be a big game coming up in Scorpio month. We're gonna be in the running for something quite big and something quite adventurous for quite a lot of people. But to afford these changes and afford the stamina that we really do have to build up by now, we have to be very, very strong and mighty and just be able to face it. And one of the hardest things of all is sometimes just to face your talents, or to understand your misery, or to really see who you are in a group, and also to understand why you criticize yourself so much. You don't want to surface more and more of you. Also have to tell you a little bit, very tiny bit, about leadership and how come people get employed by other people, and then why other people become employers or leaders. It's like sometimes we just don't want to say it out loud. We get scared of our own cause and effect, and then by the time Leo ends, we really have to understand and mark it in for us. Do I feel like I can lead a group? Am I in a leadership position? Or do I just not really love myself enough to be? Or how come it took me so long to understand which type of leadership I really own? And everybody has a type of leadership they can claim on this life. Everybody's got a leading edge on some level, and everyone can be a leader. Everybody can be in a greater, more sensitive, strong and good and curious career, I think, or way of life or path or situation, just simply by enabling that part of you, who you are, to just be unafraid of the way things work for you, and of all that innocence and all that glee that it actually takes to be a really good guide. So I think that for a lot of you guys, if you are also battling that within yourself, like, who am I really amounting to? Why am I not yet on the cutting edge of my life? Why am I not yet cutting edge in my group or community? Why don't I feel like I can fit in anywhere? Why do I feel so much also pleasure from being burnt by other people? Why do I naturally slip into circumstances when I'm basically kissing somebody's butt all the time? Why do I want to be that? And what is it for? Why am I always looking for a lack inside myself? Or why do I grow outwards away from the community? And why do I not want to be included sometimes? Because the opposite side, of course, of Leo is Aquarius, and that's where the Earth is traveling still. And that is about community and groups, of course, and business management throughout the world, globality and movability and ability and freedom and sensitivity to where other people are at and how they see you and perceive your talents, and where you're going to be in 5 or 10 years time. So this is like the long-term planning now for quite many of us, and we have to be in the right group, in the right territory, in the right ideology, in the right center point at the moment in order to really kick it into gear. So if you are not you might be sad and afraid and freaked out by it all. You might not be able to believe it. You might say, don't want it, I don't want it, I want to throw it all away. And that is also okay. And I do understand that some people have come to be what they now, out of the concept of their heart, realize is the wrong tribe. And that's absolutely okay. So when you are there, you might also want to see it through. So when you understand, okay, I've wanted to be in politics, and now I have all my chickens lined up, and I've got all my friends in politics, and I also have like somebody who is like a very famous person, or I have this other person, and they seem to treat me right, and I might be able to get this and make this and out of this, but hey, did I really see myself? Can I really be bothered? And a part of you is completely triggered by it as well, and saying, hey, I just want to like raise my own children and enjoy my life. I don't really want to be that. And this is something very hard for some people to face. So maybe your 5 or 6 years of knowledge of yourself and doing good for yourself. I'm also experiencing this a lot at the moment. to a degree. You know, a lot of you has been formed on a certain level, and it has wanted certain things and screamed at the top of its lungs that it wants this. But once you see the insides of the story and you really take a whiff of it, and you smell it and you know it and you realize it, you see the cause and effect of that in your life, you might actually tell me a completely different thing. You might tell me, you know what, after 4 or 5 years of trying so hard to be in politics, I now understand I hate this. And it was just a cry for help that I still had as an unwanted child in my family. And to be quite honest with you, after the corruption and the insecurities and all of these frugal things that I have seen my life bring to me through these people or these experiences or ideas, I can full-heartedly say I don't want it anymore. And this is very hard for some people. So it's like you've grown a fruit that you don't want to keep. It's almost like you've made a child that you don't want to see or face. And this happens a lot in our species. So due to some trauma or karma or indecisiveness, we have come to be a certain type of people, or certain people have come to a certain type of result, way of life, or proposition in their world, and they really don't want it at the end. They're like, I thought that, for example, the modeling business was not so bad, or like I thought that making money online was such an easy thing, or like I thought that having kids would be so great, or I thought that marriage would bring me the best things the world could possibly offer a woman, for example. Or I couldn't actually understand myself while planning for some of you guys, probably 5 or 6 years, for some of the changes and experiences and vibrations that we are starting to face and bring into truth. So Ox does not just make things into a certainty. Boxy Ox this year, and also this month, especially August, Leo is a box-loving, box-giving fixed sign. It loves to build its castle one box at a time. And that is what we have to understand and also believe. Okay, yeah, sure, I didn't really connect to myself before. I didn't really see myself through. I didn't really see the kind of future I could be having. I didn't really understand where my trauma was coming from that wanted this or that so bad. I didn't actually want to know. And now that I see it and I see the full picture, for many of you guys, you might already smell, feel, see, or kind of sense the full picture of where you are going, what you're coming to, and how your life is panning. And it's like, once I've seen the full picture and the full spectrum of the energies that it takes to manifest a certain place in the world or a certain reality, now I really truly understand. I was still dabbling in the wrong things. I was still looking for power, or I was still looking for my mother, or I was still not quite sure. So even though there are manifestation cycles that are happening, I feel all around for quite a few people, and there's a lot given straight away without you having to learn. Okay, you don't have to study, you can just have the job. You don't have to learn the language, you can just visit that country. You don't have to be that person, you can just have your say. You don't really need that qualification. You don't need that industry. You don't need that special place in the world. You don't need to have one hand rubbing the other. You just have it now. Have it. It's yours. And I've been talking about the alpha states that are going to really start surfacing in December month. We're going to really see who's making it big, who's making what, and who's doing that big, strong, even scary thing. Because you see, August is going to bring us to some kind of a conclusion that will be able to be one of the stepping stones to be able to afford some things in people's lives, especially if you feel lucky enough and strong and agile enough to really create some big changes in your life. But the thing basically that I'm feeling for you guys is that there's not actually enough of us that really feel that security right now, and also we can't all fully trust it. And yeah, some of that will have to inevitably start to fall off. So for example, you went into some kind of clergy, you've done the mantras, the religious things, and then you now understand what that world is when you actually touched lives with the very, very sophisticated, very long-term members, and you go, look, this is weird. Like, I've seen the insides of the Catholic Church, or I've seen the insides of this ashram, or I've seen the insides of how things actually work in this material experience, and how much damage this industry or this plant, or this way of life, or this version of the world can actually provide, as well as a scary amount of good. So that's where you have to take things with a pinch of salt and not sulk. But if your heart, this is a rare case, if your heart is fighting for a way out of something that was just given to you, and people are all looking up to you and they're all waiting for you to step up, and they're all like, yay, we've got this person on board, or like, this is such a good idea, and you in your heart of hearts, this is rare. If you are in your heart of hearts, by the time Leo ends, saying, no way, Jose, I'm not giving my life to this, I'm not taking time here, I'm not participating anymore, like, end the cycle, I don't want this, this is going to be very good for you. So that means you're even more of a hero than you know. So if you are now telling yourself also off for not caring for yourself enough and manifesting quite a few people experiences and energies and residues to be able to afford a certain cycle in your life or to become a certain type of master or leader, and you're just like, hell no, I'm not doing it, that means that you're really awoken now. And only for certain people this really counts, because for some of us, that means quite a lot of truth has to come out really quickly. So if you have a huge amount of light given to you, and you somehow truth finding or truth seeking or truth bringing, or things are just popping up to the to the surface, and there is a huge reality change, and you're just almost like shaking with how much power you have by letting go and not wanting to be the king anymore, not wanting to be the king of something very peculiar to you at the end of the day. Already now, that is a really, really forceful vibration. So you might be about 20 years in the future, and you might already kind of see where it's all coming to, and you might not be docile at all. So the person that doesn't want to be the leader right now and doesn't want to be anything or anybody from a very, very astute, knowing, psychic perspective is a very known person for something else maybe already. So for example, okay, politics, okay, you're ready to let go, you're completely ready. Maybe you are really good at things that are much, much more safe and strong, and thus they are more. So for example, you now understand that you really love your kids and you want the best for them. Maybe you are a powerful educator, or like a father figure or mother figure in the home already, and maybe that is the way that you're leading. You don't have to be on a pedestal talking crap at people. You can actually just be a really good, kind heart, and that is going to eventually evolve you even further and get you even better results. And maybe mightier results will come still, and maybe you will find yourself in a figure 8 kind of infinity with some things very fast, even before Libra comes, because Libra is infinity. So you see, some of it is sort of take this with a pinch of salt as well. You know, some of this is depending on you and your level of trust of yourself and the universe. You will be probably discovered or understood or trusted just enough to be able to afford that next vibrational shift. And I think that certain people could be, you know, for it because they think that's the best way to do. So like the way that I'm trying to explain this is a little bit too far-fetched for some people right now. So if you are happy with your joy, with your amount of money, with your experience, with the amount of glee your life is giving you right now, stay there and enjoy it. Just enjoy. But for quite a few of you guys, there's going to be eventually a time when you're like, haha, I thought that was it. I thought that was it. And it's not enough. And if you're already one of those people and you're not maybe judging yourself anymore, you're just like, no, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be part of this collective. I don't want to be part of this story. Then there are probably quite a lot of ways you can now go, but the leadership is quite huge and powerful if you've come to be a kind of person that can, in a way, pull themselves out of, like, say, 6 or 7 years of misery, or 4 years of struggle, or 10 years of infectious disease, or 12 years of negative thinking patterns, and now you don't even know who you are. That is like, wow. Okay, that's wow. And some of us don't really know what to do there if we have reached that plateau or peak. Depends how it feels for you. And then eventually we have to, in a way, drive. They're going to be very, very soft but scary fast things happening in Virgo. You have to get it right. So like, for example, okay, I had antibiotics. So I got an infection. It surfaced again, and then I had to go to the doctor, and I actually went to the right one this time after years of trying to find someone who knows what they're doing. And eventually I had antibiotics, and they're starting to remove certain things, certain tissues in my body. They started to change me. And then eventually I have to stop. There are going to be ways in which I will not be able to live here and be a free person if I don't stop. So for example, okay, I've got like 10 days of antibiotics. Maybe I'll only do 5. Okay, like just because. And also we are coming up to this very meticulous time, and it is very, very scary to continue a cycle you don't necessarily need. So for example, if I did all 10 days of antibiotics, I could be in trouble and I could have brain tissue damage and things like that. So this is a very difficult thing. So it's like, this is where you really know that you have your finger on the pulse. So inside you kind of already can tell, you know. So for example, if you are speculating overdoing it after the 23rd, 24th, if you are really stuck in an ongoingly obsessive process trying to get things right, that is going to be very, very dark and very strange in Virgo and also Libra time. So make sure you are not obsessively chipping away at anything or anybody, and you're not trying to find the truth too much. I already talked about Hygeia being spiked by Mars at the beginning of the month. So Hygeia, it's like an element that suggests, you know, searching, looking. It's also very good for medicine and other things, but it is very, very impressive to itself when it likes to look and find. So that seeking of answers, the answer seeking, that soul searching, if it is ongoing for too long, it is obsessive, it can lead to a mental illness, you know, or it can lead to very scary things. So like for example, if you're polishing your floors every day and you're trying to spruce up your house to the point where it is pretty much a clinical space, you have to be very, very careful here. So sometimes picking things to pieces can cause a mutation, a mutating result in Virgo. So this is what basically I'm trying to offer anybody who's really obsessive compulsive with any thinking, working or feeling patterns. Please make sure that you come off that vibe, that you are not throwing yourself around anymore, and that you're not offering yourself the chicken in the background. Just letting you know, chicken in the background, it's amazing. That you're not offering yourself the same thing again and again, to be able to afford the next slide. So when we go into Libra time, September, October especially, we will have quite a lot of relevance and gifts and permanent positions in life given to us. And sometimes the ox here is just about permanence, is just about having a nice solidity. So if you don't really have it in you to work things out at the moment, and you're pushing, you're trying too hard, that is going to have to become obvious to you, and you have to deal with it. Take yourself out for a smoothie, have some nice things, you know, enjoy sexuality, enjoy nature, enjoy fun, enjoy human beings. I don't know, get yourself a chicken. I don't know, something, just because it might not be everything you wanted, even though you might have a very controlling tactic or a very good eye for detail. Also, we have to understand control, eye for detail, obsessive compulsive behavior, things that make you feel like you've got the truth because of how much you iron over your reality, is going to become almost like a disease in society. And I'm also seeing quite a lot of people struggling through it later on. It's like, for example, it takes me 2 hours to get ready every morning, and I have to have like a completely different face to what I have biologically. But because of this, you know, I have a lot of friends, for example, or because of this, I've got a very, very wild Instagram account. Okay, great, fantastic. Now, that has to be over. That has to be done, because you have to understand what you're doing against your nature. Or like, to be able to afford my life, I've got to work 3 different jobs and be perfect every day, or I've got to study so hard, or I've got to make this much money, or I've got to. Now, that is going to become mental illness that is going to be seen as norm, just like narcissism is a big, huge, giant problem in society. And we think it's quite comfortable and nice to be around these people, so we just basically joke around them or joke with them, and we don't even understand ourselves, but we're quite happy with it. So we're all broken in a way by these societal norms that the media industries and other try to put into our minds, and also the chemicals in our foods and the problems in our societies are influencing these, you know, like melancholy, for example, in the Victorian era and 1940s, like existential non-caring in the 1950s to some degree was like the norm, or like obsessive compulsive disorder in the 1970s. We had quite a lot of mental illnesses, I got to tell you guys, mental illnesses and societal faults that have just basically been evolved by certain media, songs, artists. This is all the face of society, you know, certain even towns like that dominated others, like London, you know, like say certain fashion created in different parts of the world, the universe. and New York City, you know, there were parts of us that really wanted something, so we got kind of possessed with a certain type of experience or vibration. So this pedantic energy that I'm seeing now, this obsession with detail and wanting to have it all, you know, at once, and needing other people to listen to you, or wanting to be taken seriously, or wanting to be somewhere on purpose, and needing to get your diet right, and needing to have your habits just right, and wanting to be the way that you really always wanted to be, always, and having a very, very deep emotional obsession with certain people and things, that has to become an obstacle rather than a merit, because I'm seeing that quite a lot of people that have been coming to me lately with that type of illness, and it has a certain energy, they're very proud of who they are. So like, you know, the people that are truth seekers that don't sleep at night, that, you know, pick at themselves all day and they think about who they are and what life is, that is going to have to one day be faced as a unusual trait or a useless trait. So I'm seeing also a lot of illnesses and sicknesses coming to the surface. But I have to say to you guys, you have to believe, because in September month, Virgo is going to make it very, very clear for us if we've got something that we don't need, if we've got some kind of behavior patterns that we don't want as a species or as individuals, vice versa, or if we do a lot of that one same thing that gets us nowhere, or gets us very little result. And we've got to understand we can't piss against the wind anymore, and we can't develop certain personality traits that are going to be very much thrown off the radar in Libra. So, okay, for example, if you are now here and somebody's not listening to you, or someone's not caring about you, somebody's like, what are you talking about, like opposing you, or doesn't care about how you feel or think, and you get really personal about it, and Leo, and you're like, yeah, I would be a great leader, but these people are against me, or that person doesn't listen to me, or doesn't respect me, is absolutely all good. It's just important that you see that maybe there is an outdated or uncomfortable, hello chicken, uncomfortable quality to something that you were once doing, or that you are still experiencing or enabling now. So I already talked about this in the August Scorpio report that you can find actually on my Patreon site. There is something that you might be unconsciously creating, doing, or resurfacing that others just cannot relate to, and they don't want to condone anymore. So maybe before you just had a smile for something, oh great, now you're gonna be more like, okay, can you please not say that again, or like, can we like not ever have this discussion again, or like, I don't want this in my life. And it's important to face, and I know that a lot of us old souls, you know, and fresh bodies, or, you know, new bodies, or just people that are older and have been through a lot, we might oppose it. It's like, where is my respect? Where is my respect? This is where you really see it. It's like the end of Leo. And those of us that are saying, where is my respect? You know, where is my respect? Right now, is probably because you are not thinking straight, or you're not visualizing yourself within the right vibrational state, and then you're expecting a respect as a kind of like a purpose being filled. As a lot of people do not think that respect is a natural thing. They think that it is something that should be almost like artificially given as like, almost like a sympathy, like I need to be respected, you know, like I'm say 25 years old and I've read all these books and I know everything about, like, for example, I don't know, the body, like the inner geek comes out, you know. So if you are already experiencing it now, and you are, this is important, judging your stature in society and with other people based on what you once have done, learned, or become, that is an important part of you that hasn't been reached or seen yet, because Leo is just because, and it gets the party, like it gets in the mix, it gets in the right vibration, gets in with the click accidentally. So it's like, I'm so vibing right now, this is so funny, hey, that person invited me to this other party, I'm gonna go and try out this party, whoa, I met another person, I'm going to another party. So that's the heart energy. And not many people really know what that is, and sometimes people are afraid of it in society, like I'm afraid of fashion, I'm afraid of people that make an impression, I'm afraid of anything external or anything like too extraterrestrial. I don't know how this happens. But then eventually, okay, the early Virgo, the early bird for Virgo, I'm surrounded by chickens right now, so it's quite fun. The early bird for Virgo is the one that gets the worm. I'm joking. No, the early bird is when you have still some Leo time and you are asking, why does nobody respect me? Because I have studied at a university. or like, but I have created a career, or I've crafted a life. You've got to be kidding me, you know, like, what is this person? And so especially that's when comparison gets in the way. It's like your mind talks too much and your heart doesn't listen. So it's like, what does she have that I don't? Or like, what does that person ever do? Like, they have achieved nothing. I don't like this people, I don't like this habit, I don't like this person, I don't like this scene. They don't understand. Now, I have, like, say, 14 years of yoga. Or like, but I have got, you know, 2 children, and I have raised a grandson myself, you know, so I have to be. So that nerdy part that counts the money, okay, that nerdy part that counts where you've come to be based on your educational past, that nerdy part that wants to be pleased and loved because you have achieved like a golden medal, or you have become a better person seemingly, or maybe there's like a hidden kind of like a Nazi sort of thing happening, you know, that has to become a very large part of you, maybe in the Virgo, to be able to be understood in Libra. So if this is coming to the surface now in any capacity, like, but I am, but this is about me, but how much money I put into this, but how much energy, but I need a certain place in society. I demand a place in society based on my skills, my culture, my nature, the people that I've been around in my life, the way that I've dressed, or the way that I've put myself together, how I was born or raised. All of this imperialistic stuff is going to start to be a burden probably on everybody, because it just does not work. It hasn't actually worked since the 1940s. It's just that we've been smiling and pandering to it because we didn't know how to heal it within ourselves as a species. And now it's going to be unbearable to quite a lot of people because we don't like that about ourselves. And when we see it in society, or like we see that in each other, we can't heal it. We don't understand how to do it. So it's going to make a new face. It's going to make a new face by being a little bit lower than other people. It's like, but I'll help you. I'll do all the errands for you. I will sort out all your paperwork. I will be the one cleaning and cooking and doing and dancing and making and talking and feeling. So it's kind of like depressed, you know, so that part of the human energy, or that human experience, or that way that people experience compassion for themselves and the outer world, is going to start to become a little bit more extreme and a little bit less imperialistic seemingly on the outside. But you see that imperialistic quality that sometimes is inside. It's like, but I've cooked so much, I've cleaned so much, look, I've done all the things, like I've sterilized the whole space, I really, I became all these people, or I became this big person for someone else's benefit. Like, don't you respect me? Don't you see I'm doing things right? You know, all of that ego stuff. It's like a heart disease of the people, you know, of many people around the world. This is not just a Western world thing. And then we have to basically realize and get to know these parts or these concepts of ourselves, of our lives, that are inviting these people into our world. And why are we still like that innocently? Why do we still feel that this is how it should be? And if you want it, you should get it. So that's another thing about this moon. If you want it, you will probably have it. And if you can't get it, maybe you've outgrown it, or something doesn't quite taste good. If you don't quite have something, or you haven't yet got enough money for something, don't worry. You will not maybe have it at all, or it might never need to be. And if you don't really need something, it might never happen again. So that's the thing. There is like an endless VX, a vertex over the global descendant point. So some things, I already talked about this. I'm not sure if you understand me talking about the asteroids, so I'm not talking about them right now. And other aspects in the sky. So the VX point in the sky is over the DC. So we have to really understand some of the things that are not working. They're not strong enough. They're puny. They're weird. They're not tall. They're not good. They're not easy. They're not full of light, and they're not obvious. They might not just be not available right now. They might never be. And we have to be absolutely all right if we are kind of terminating something or somebody in our lives, or if we are no longer also wanted in certain groups, or we are not getting a call back from a certain person, or a certain door has been slammed shut, and we have to be absolutely okay that it once was and now it won't be. So some things we have to, in a way, mourn very quickly. In Virgo, there's lots of time to mourn if you want to. In Leo, there's not. So it is good to come to terms as to where we are right now, and also call it quits on quite a lot of things that we know either we can't afford, we don't buy anymore, we can't see inspiration in, we don't think about, we just don't want to know. So thank you very much, enjoy, and I hope that you found something interesting in this reading for you. Also have a look in the links below. My website should be up and running now quite smoothly. I do believe it is. I feel it is. If you would like to see me for a reading, you can. If you'd like to have a look at the forecasts on Patreon, you can. So I predict every day and talk about the special features, the different motions and different planets through the month. And also I just provide a lot of stuff there. So if you want to have a look, have a look. And if you are curious, if you're interested in visiting Peru, I have some interesting places here. Or if you are already in Peru, let me know. And if you need any help getting around northern Peru or anything, I will have some contacts for you. Thanks. Bye.